Hello, Dancing with the Stars fans. We are here to discuss Halloween night, and we're actually recording this on Halloween. I'm Daniel Montgomery here with Joyce Eng, Jeffrey Kare, and Cordell Martin. And it's another week, another elimination of not Sean Spicer. It was Karamo Brown who was sent home, and which is not too surprising at this point, and Kate Flannery, who was also in the bottom two but saved by the judges, which also probably not too surprising. We're going to get into the Sean Spicer of it all, but before that, just what did you think of that result, Cordell?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Karamo leaving, we kind of knew it was going to happen inevitably. I was hoping for Sean Spicer, but, I'm just going to resign the fact that he's going to the finals. So just in terms of Kate, I kind of figured that she was going to make a bottom two appearance fairly soon in the next couple of weeks. Her performance this past week wasn't one of my favorites, so I kind of figured that was going to be the case, but not surprised that Karamo left. I wish she would stay a week longer and Sean was one to go, but it is what it is now.
How about you, Joyce?
Yeah, I think we all knew that Karamo was leaving if Sean wasn't in the bottom two, because his only saving grace would be against Sean. Mm-hmm. And I think the judges, or like Kare and only voted for Karamo to get Len to vote, because we haven't had like a split between her and Bruno since the first elimination. So, it was like clear that like Len was going to save Kate, and Kate is clearly the better dancer. So it wasn't like too much suspense. Yeah, I'm not surprised that like Kate ended up there, because I don't think it was. I think she deserved like at least 1-9, but I just feel like at this point, like if Sean's not one of the bottom two, like her or Cal, who are kind of like the lower tier people now with Karamo gone, like we'll probably just like rotate like who's in that slot. So it was just like her time this week, but it might be a good thing for her, because then it'll like encourage people to vote for her next week. So
yeah, this was the perfect. If there was ever going to be a time for Kate to land in the bottom two, it was now, because she was up against Karamo, who the judges would not save against her, and it could boost her next week if fans are decide, no, I want to keep Kate around, and they vote her next week more, just like happened to Allie Brooke this week. I being in the bottom two last week helped her get some more votes this week. What did you think of the elimination, Jeffrey?
Well, yeah, I agree that I had a feeling Karamo's time was coming up. I mean, even though he's been doing solid work in the last couple of weeks, yeah, it did feel like his time was coming. And I will say that before the bottom two were revealed, Sean Spicer hadn't been announced as safe yet, and I had a feeling, he might actually be in the bottom two for the first time. But then now he's not safe, so. But hey, I was glad that between Kate and Karamo, I was glad they chose to keep Kate safe as opposed to Karamo, because again, while he's been doing good work lately, it did feel his time was coming.
Yeah, and speaking of he who shall not be named, the whole thing with Sean Spicer this season has been, Tom Bergeron came out after he was announced in the cast saying, I didn't want this literally, quote unquote, exhausting political climate to be a part of the show. And Sean Spicer early on came on and said, I don't want this to be a political thing. I just kind of want to, not everything has to be about politics. Let's just do this and have fun. Well, of course, he's actively courting MAGA Nation on Breitbart, on Fox News. Trevor Noah, who was on Dancing with the Stars in South Africa and finished second there. He did a segment on The Daily Show, just sort of playing clips of Sean Spicer telling Breitbart, it's like, people want to keep me around because they don't want just the liberals to have a say in who gets to be a part of culture. Like, people don't think, people like that One of Us, which he said on a white nationalist linked website, Breitbart, One of Us is getting a chance to succeed, as if anyone has been holding Sean Spicer down. So he's actively courting political division, courting the own the lib vote to keep him on the show, and it's working. And he's not the only one. Joyce, tell us about Reince Priebus.
Yeah, if you don't happen to follow Reince Priebus, which I don't, but this just made the rounds Monday after the show, he completely unprovoked tweeted at Erin Andrews, quote, "Why so sad? Sean Spicer isn't going anywhere for a while. Unlike anyone else there, he has a natural base that's voting for him." And he also tagged, end quote, he also tagged Trump and hashtag Dancing with the Stars. And if you look further down his Twitter page, his last 4 tweets have been about Dancing with the Stars and Sean Spicer and voting for him. Some of them are retweets. He actually retweeted that first tweet I just read out loud again. And another one is, "Love these libs melting down because Sean Spicer keeps surviving. Maybe it's because people are actually voting for him. He's not even close to the bottom 2. That was from October 21st. And I feel like if you just check like social media after each show every week that Sean survives, you'll see more and more of this aggressive just trolling from MAGA Nation and just conservatives in general. And like we've talked about this before, it just feels like most of these people don't even watch the show and like don't even care about Sean Spicer or anything, but they just want to stick it to liberals and like the Hollywood elite, and they're just gonna keep voting for him because everyone is still upset that Sean is still on the show. So like they're not invested in the show at all. It's just they want to piss people off.
Yeah, and that's what's so frustrating. Like, I mean, I didn't notice the, Erin Andrews looking sad after, Sean Spicer was announced safe. I wouldn't blame her, but I didn't notice it. But honestly, after hearing about that tweet, I understand it completely, because if for every week that Sean Spicer is safe, I knew I would have to be getting tweets like that every Monday night. And have to be subjected to all that nonsense on a show that's supposed to be fun. Yeah. It's supposed to be silly, and I'm a liberal, but like I don't want Sean Spicer on the show because he can't dance for the most important part, and second of all, because I didn't want it to be about that at all. Like, I don't want to think about MAGA when I'm watching Dancing with the Stars, and none of the rest of the core fan base really of the show probably does either. Even the fans who in the past were inclined to vote for a Bristol Palin or a Sadie Robertson or a Candace Cameron Bure. It's like, sure, they were conservative leaning contestants, but they weren't actively trolling like the voting.
Yeah, like they had Tom DeLay on.
Yeah,
10 years ago.
Rick Perry was on.
Yeah.
Yep. The energy secretary who's in charge of our nukes. Isn't that fun? and this wasn't happening then. This is newer and uglier, and if Sean Spicer makes the finals like we're afraid he might, it's kind of gonna be over for this show, I feel like.
Yeah.
If he wins, yeah.
Oh, if he wins, it's ditched. Like, I mean, I don't see any real fans of the show sticking around. Like, because no one who's supporting Sean Spicer is coming back next season for, I don't know, whichever, second or third tier celebrity they get for the next season. It's just going to be completely alienating.
And it'll just be hard to, like, book stars for next season if they've seen that Sean Spicer won season 28.
Yeah. And especially if, because they're going to end up in a position like Karamo was, where he got in trouble for saying, oh, well, Sean Spicer is a decent guy, and let's have conversations with people who disagree with us and that sort of thing. I don't agree with Karamo on that.
I mean, he's going down with that ship, so...
Yeah.
I'm sure they are
going down because of that ship.
It's just a very idealistic
and defending the iceberg.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get that they're friends and they got to know each other on the show, but it's just like the climate is just so much more than just be nice to your neighbors, because they made it more than that.
Yeah.
Like, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and it's so and booking for next season is because it's going to not only, if Sean Spicer wins, then what's the point? There's that factor. There's also, well, if they do this again with someone else, like if Sarah Huckabee Sanders is cast next season or something like that. It's like every other celebrity in that cast is going to be put in that same terrible position of having to be on screen with him, or having to play nice with him, or having to publicly disavow him, or, you know, it's not going to be like, I don't envy anyone on this show this season for having to appear in just like the little comedy segments with him at the beginning or during it's like, does anyone really want that at this point? Like, it just, so that's the Spicer of it all. Let us put that behind us for this week. We'll be addressing that again next week in some capacity. Let's talk about, on a brighter note, the team dances. There are 8 contestants left in this week's episode, so they split them up into teams of 4 celebrities each, 4 couples each. And they were randomly selected by, like, they picked up objects off a table that had the team they were on, and they just so happened to get all of the, like, high-scoring contestants on one team and the low-scoring contestants on the other team, which, you know, I don't buy it.
They need to just go back to the schoolyard picks.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't blame them for a little subterfuge here, because I feel like the judges, they went back to giving Spicer 6s, because they're like, oh, we can't give him an inch because he's going to take a mile. And so they really didn't want him on a team with Dane or Allie, people who were going to bump his score up. Which unfortunately meant that he dragged Karamo and Kate's scores down, which is kind of inevitable if you're, you know, playing the numbers like that. That's conspiracy theory, assuming that's what they were doing. I do think the first team dance was better. How about you, Joyce?
Yeah, I think we all expected that. So.
Pretty much.
Yes, that was the better dance, and it's a shame that Team Treat closed the night, but they had to, since both Sean and Kate had the second to last and last individual dance. I mean, like, when I was watching those, like, the only thing I could think of was, like, I miss like back in the day, like, those team dances, like, with, like, the old guard. Like, I thought they were just so much better. Like, and it's not just because, like, Sean is there and, like, he's not good. It's just, I think, like, the choreography was so much better. The concepts, and I know this season, like, they changed it all up, and the choreographers, the pros, don't have any say in the production. So even though this is, you know, a freestyle, but it's like Halloween, so they're tied to that. And yeah, like, I miss, like, the old team dance. Like, they just felt and looked better. I don't know. Yeah,
just in terms of choreography, firepower, you know.
Oh yeah, like all of Derek's.
Derek Huff, 2-time Emmy-winning choreographer, versus the relatively new guard of pro dancers they have, who aren't as experienced with choreographing, especially these types of beam routines. So it was kind of a letdown in that sense. I thought. I mean, that's why we saw 9s instead of 10s, because, like, no one was really mind-blowing in those team dances. I was a little worried, because when you have one underdog team in the team dances, it kind of opens the door to, because they do give a lot of leeway for those team dances. They're supposed to be fun and energetic, and so if something's too technical, they're going to hold the better dancers to a higher standard. And I was really worried that we were going to see Spicer's team be the plucky underdogs who got the higher score. That didn't happen. They got respectable 8s, but that didn't happen. What did you think about the team dances, Cordell?
Yeah, to Joyce's point, I thought the first team was miles ahead of the other team. I also just felt like there just wasn't that magic with the team dances. You know, that's usually one of the highlights for me each season, just to see who's going to be paired with who, and then just the choreography. It was a bit of a letdown. I feel like this season overall, just, it's not sparking my interest in terms of just, like, memorable dances and all of that. So I thought the first team was better than the second one, but yeah, I've seen that.
How about you, Jeffrey?
Oh, yeah, I agree that the first team I thought was terrific. Team Trick, yeah, I definitely thought they were better than Team Treats, which, well, not from perfect. I thought there were at least some nice things sprinkled in there, but yeah, definitely preferred Team Trick to Team Treat.
Yeah, and on Team Trick, the higher scoring team, you had Hannah Brown, who I felt really bad. Even while agreeing with most of the judges' criticisms of her, I felt so bad for her getting her critiques in the team dance, because Kare Ann was trying to pay her like a compliment. So it's like, oh, this is what I want to see from you. And you could just see on her face, she was so close to crying, where she was just like, I'm just a reality show contestant and I'm just trying my best. And I was just like, I felt, and it wasn't like a self-pitying kind of thing. It's like, she really is being hard on herself, and she is really taking it to heart when the judges are critical. And so I felt so bad for her, even though I agree with the judges' critiques. I do think she has an issue of opening up on stage. She is giving us that sort of walls up pageant kind of presence on the stage, which kind of is a safety. And I can see that, because when you're trained in beauty pageants, I can't imagine how grueling it is to be, to be trained for beauty pageants earlier in your life and have that kind of, rejection and kind of perfection hammered into you. It reminds me a little bit of Simone Biles in that sense, where it's like she's got perfection drilled into her head, that she doesn't quite have that looser performative quality. What did you think about her performances and the judges' takes on her, Joyce?
But I think the difference between Simone and Hannah is that Hannah, as like even Alan acknowledged, is like it comes more from like insecurity and like anxiety, whereas like Simone, she's confident, but it's just like she's a gymnast and like they're just machines, But with Hannah, like I did feel bad when she started crying, and she wrote like a really emotional post on Instagram the other day, like explaining like her frame of mind, and she admitted that she thought that the show would be easier. She didn't say in those words, but that's basically like the sentiment. And she said she agreed with Kare Ann, like she knows like she is like disconnected from the movements and stuff. I think, she's just like, to your point, like, like she's used to like the pageant circuit and like being perfect all the time, but she also had dance training in her childhood, and she quit when she was like 16 or something, so she's performed before. So she's not completely new to this, but she's also been open about dealing with anxiety and depression, so I think that's part of it. And I think I don't think like the judges are hard on her in like a really cruel way. Like they're being critical, and I think she's just really taking it to heart because she is so like in her head and insecure about it. But like I think she just needs to learn to like let it go and just perform out there, because she still has that pageant smile, and it's so distracting. Like, and I feel like the judges are kind of like fed up with it. Like. I don't know, like what's a nicer way of saying that? Like they want her to improve, and I feel like she's just kind of been the same since the first week. Like she's a great technical dancer. She knows how to learn the steps and memorize everything, and she rarely makes any mistakes in like her steps and the choreography, but it's just the characterizations that she can't get down.
Yeah, now I'm thinking, I don't like that dance style because it's such like a ticket to easy scores. But I think Hannah is the one who needs a contemporary right now.
Yeah, which is funny because like she like in an interview like last week, she said like she really wants a contemporary, and I'm like, that's all about showing emotions, and like you clearly have trouble with that.
I think it would be because the steps are not quite as complicated, or especially for the way they perform them on the show. It's not. It's a less grueling piece of choreography that she'll have to learn. It'll be things that she will definitely be good at no matter what. Like physically, I feel like that will be a great opportunity for her to focus on the emotion. And I honestly, I think I wrote this in the blog on Monday night, but I think she almost needs like to train with like James Van Der Beek or Kate Flannery more than she needs to train with Alan, just because the dancing she's got, it's the sort of emotion and the character and the performance quality that she
she can't let loose, and we're more than halfway through with the season already, so it's like she hasn't
well, she froze.
Yeah, she froze for me too.
Fine.
Oh, sorry, you froze there.
I have no idea what was the last thing you heard.
Most of it, I think we missed. It went out for about like 15 seconds.
I don't even remember what I said now. I think it was like that she's always been a good dancer, and like you usually when you talk about improvement, you're referring to the dancing. Mm-hmm. But in her case, it's about the characterization, and she hasn't shown improvement in that yet.
What did you think about it, Cordell?
Yeah, to Joyce's point, there's just always been a disconnect with her performance. Like I thought this week was going to be her breakout dance because it's jazz. It's pretty easy to get those high scores. And even just in her package, she's like, I'm going to be a bad girl. You know, she's dancing to Donna Summer's Bad Girl. And she's smiling the whole time. And I'm like,
she's literally a corpse, and it's just
like probably she draws up a big game in the packages, and it never pans out.
I'm like, what are we doing here? So, I think what's great about this week for her to get the criticism from the judges, it at least shows like that human side to her, which will connect with viewers to help her get that support. So she'll be able to use that storyline to get her through the, final couple weeks. I'm expecting her next week to either get a contemporary Argentine tango just to show that different side, and the judges will go.
She actually has the quick step.
Oh, well.
Never mind.
To be fair, the quick step is such an upbeat style that the pageant smile will fit better.
Exactly. Yeah, and she'll feel like, oh, I'm going back, getting back to myself, and the judges will go crazy, give her 9s and 10s, and she'll be fine. But I think for her, she just needs to just work on just letting loose and having fun. I mean, we only have a couple weeks left, and I think she'll be in a good place if she just lets loose. So
yeah.
And what did you think about her performance and where she goes from here, Jeffrey?
I thought she did great work, though. I guess given how unpredictable this season has been, it wouldn't surprise me if, at least not too much, if she ends up in the bottom 2 within the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which makes the predicting the winner interesting. I mean, not interesting in the sense, because with her struggling a little bit, it really just secures James Van Der Beek as kind of the front runner, because he hasn't landed in the bottom 2. Neither has Hannah, but Hannah's been struggling a little bit with the scores. And all of James's other main contenders have been in the bottom 2. Like Allie Brooke is a great scorer, but she's been in the bottom 2. Kate Flannery could have been a dark horse for one of those spots. I think Lauren she's not like dance-wise, she's not like really moving up to the top of the heap, but she's been safe every week, and she's solid. So I think she's looking a little bit better to make.
Because she has Bobby's fans voting for her.
Yeah. But she's also like not bad. Like she's, she had the one rough samba, which wasn't entirely her fault.
Let's not talk about that anymore.
Oh my god.
I think she had like the second best dance this week after James, and the way James is the best is that like they try so hard to find things to criticize for him. Like I don't even know like what mistake they were talking about. Like I had to go back and like find.
I didn't see like something happened on the fog. That was good. I mean, he admitted he slipped on the fog. So
and then for like lesser dancers, they let so much stuff fly all the time. But with him, like they're such a stickler because he's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're trying not to let it be a runaway, but like there's no one really who challenges him on a dance level at this point, and at a fan level, because he's never been in the bottom 2. It's hard to know exactly what his fan base is like, but it seems to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's like it's really less a question of is he gonna win? Well, going back to the Sean Spicer of it all, it is a question of if James Van Der Beek is gonna win. But in terms of like getting to the finale and being just the best dancer in the season, that seems relatively secure at this point. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of who get those other 2 slots. And let's pretend for a moment that Sean Spicer had been eliminated. Of the other 6 contestants in the competition right now, who do you think is in the best position to make the finals, Cordell?
Ooh, I would say just looking at just how the voting has played out, as you mentioned, Hannah hasn't been in the bottom 2 yet, or Lauren. So just going based on that, I would say they probably have the strongest chance. Maybe with Kel being a potential spoiler. I mean, the fact that he was in the bottom two, week 2, and hasn't been in the bottom since. I think he's also someone to look out for. Allie, I feel like within the next week or two, if Sean doesn't land in the bottom 2, she may be eliminated. I don't know if she's going to have that fan support to put her to the end. And with Kate, I think next week she'll be safe, but she might find herself in trouble in those remaining weeks leading up to the finale.
Yeah. What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well, I thought, everything Cordell said seems spot on, but I guess, let's see. I mean, Kate, I could see her getting at least more votes next week, keeping her safe, but who knows how much that could fall within the week after. Mm-hmm. And, again, Hannah, I could see her at least ending up in the bottom 2 sometime within the next couple of weeks. Same with Kel, same with Lauren.
Yeah, and how about you, Joyce?
I think James and Hannah are probably good for the final. I don't think Hannah will be in that much trouble. Like, I really don't see her landing in the bottom 2. Like, she could, I guess, but I feel like she just has that sympathy card now after this week. So people will be rooting for her, and she already has the Bachelor Nation fan base. So I think she'll be okay to make it. I think she and James are probably the only people who could survive into the final without making the bottom 2. And that third slot, I would love to see Kate in there, but I could also totally see her going home in like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. It just kind of depends on the momentum they have like that week. I don't really trust either of Lauren or Allie, as in, like, not like they're dancing, but like their support. Like, I just don't really, like, like we just talked about a couple minutes ago, like, I don't really know where they stand in terms of that. Like, like Fifth Harmony isn't even together anymore. And Normani didn't win, and I mean, like, Lauren, like, she has like Bobby rooting for her, but I don't know, like, and she's good, but and I guess like she's a country singer, and that's a large part of the fan base, but I could see her making it in the final, but I could also see her leaving next week too. So, and with Kel, I feel like not that he was bad this week. I don't know if that deserves straight 9s. And I feel like they've just kind of been like propping him up.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like I feel like ever since he made his like comeback that week, like they've just been on like that Kel train, but kind of low key. And like I love him and he's really fun, but like if for some reason they decide to just the numbers and be more reflective of like his actual content, then he might be in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, imagining that James and Hannah are still looking good for the finale. I never thought I'd say this, but Bobby Bones fans, please vote hard, because I would love to get Lauren Elena into the finals ahead of Sean Spicer.
Me too.
If she gets that far, I sadly, I think she's dancing really well, but given that she was in the bottom 2 already, I feel like Allie Brooke is the kind who she could get like the number 1 or number 2 on the leaderboard and go home. She could be the Juan Pablo who gets like the week she gets perfect 10s or something, she's out. Yeah, I could totally see that happening to her because she doesn't seem to have that fan base at the moment. I mean, she was safe after landing in the bottom 2 that one time, but same thing happened to Karamo. After he landed in the bottom 2, his fans were scared into voting for him, and then they just kind of stopped, and he fell to the bottom 2 again. So fingers crossed for the rest of the season. We will be back to discuss week 8 of the competition next week, and goodness knows, what we might find out what Anthony Scaramucci is tweeting about Dancing with the Stars, and maybe Kellyanne Conway will talk about the alternative scores. So that'll be fun. But until then, thank you, Joyce, Cordell, and Jeffrey, for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. you can go to goldderby.com and make your predictions this week and every week for who will win, who will be eliminated, high score, low score, and more. So until next week, thank you very much for joining us.